I've been afraid, and I know you have too. The question is, what will we do with our fears? Can we conquer them? Today, I've got some good news for you from the Christmas story. I'll be talking about how God's perfect love drives out our fears. So stay with us, because all that and more is coming up. Hey everyone, I'm Pastor Kevin Patterson, seeking to live out and help you live out the teachings of Jesus. If that's what you want and you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Today we're talking about how God's perfect love drives out our fears. In Luke 2:8, we read that near Bethlehem, there were shepherds living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks at night. And an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were terrified. What were the shepherds so afraid of? Imagine one evening you're sitting at home, alone, minding your own business, and all of a sudden,
Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy.
this angel wasn't a Victorian cherub or a Renaissance beauty. This was a terrifying apparition of one of God's own heavenly warriors. The shepherds were afraid that they were being judged. They were afraid of being in the presence of God, knowing that they were not holy, and they stood in the presence of the angel of the holy God. What are some of your fears? I'll tell you some of mine. Abandonment, heights, closed spaces, bats, movies that say heartwarming on them. We all have fears, and so did the shepherds. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for I bring you good tidings of great joy that will be for all people." Not just for the shepherds, not just for Israel, but for everybody. The people of Israel had lived in fear for centuries, always under foreign domination. But the prophets had promised a Redeemer, and they were about to see the fulfillment of that promise. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." An angel of the Lord also appeared in the temple to Zechariah, who would become the father of John the Baptist. Sometime later, Zechariah spoke out in praise to God. He spoke of the oath God swore to our father Abraham to grant us deliverance from hostile hands, that we may serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our lives. To serve him without fear, we need to conquer our fears. So I'm going to give you 5 antidotes to fear, and the first is the gospel of Jesus Christ. For at just the right time, while we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. The second antidote to fear is God's perfect love. 1 John 4:18, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear." Because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. The third antidote to fear is faith in the promises of God. John 14, verses 1 to 3. "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am." In Psalm 56:3, the psalmist says, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." Not if I am afraid, not should I be afraid. He admits that, like all of us, he's sometimes afraid. And he says, when I am afraid, I put my trust in you. The fourth antidote to fear is the very peace of God. John 14:27. "Peace is what I leave with you. It is my own peace that I give you. I do not give it as the world does. Do not be worried and upset. Do not be afraid." The fifth antidote to fear is the Spirit of God. 2 Timothy 1:7. "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." The good news the angels brought freed the shepherds from their fears. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. I believe that when we focus on the promises of God fulfilled in those good tidings of great joy the angels brought, when we trust in the love and the saving power of God, then we can say with the Apostle Paul, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Are fears holding you back? And if so, what are they? How do the power, the love, and the promises of God speak to your fears? Tell us about it in the comments below and read what others have to say. I'm Pastor Kevin Patterson, seeking to live out and help you live out the teachings of Jesus. If you enjoyed this video, do something kind for someone this Christmas. If you know someone who could benefit from this content, then be a living example of it to them. And if you'd like more content like this, please pray for me and for my technical assistant Alex as we work to bring you more content in the new year. And God willing, we'll see you in 2017.